And with that, we conclude the news update at this hour. All right, now we will be going to our conversation in the studio, and I have with me Super Sam Omasheye, an essayist. Sam, it's a good morning.
It's good morning. Good morning in many respects.
And we also have a journalist here, Adewale Adeoye. Most thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning. Right, gentlemen, let me begin with you, Adewale. Event after a keenly contested presidential election, as some would say, a winner has emerged in the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate. And we have seen reactions pouring in with regards to that. Even leading up to when people began to see the results, we started seeing reaction. Let's get your perspective to how things went and his emergence.
Well, democracy is a very complex phenomenon. But all over the world, it has been accepted as the best form of government. No other form of government can be compared with democracy. But that does not mean that democracy is infallible. The fact of the matter is that there are so many things Nigerians should consider the positive sides of this election. Since 1960, this is the first time we're having 6 transitions, unbroken transitions, 5 of which were conducted by civilians. This transition we started having in the 60s, in the 70s, led to chaos, even military, even civil war, that consumed millions of Nigerians. So we should be grateful that 5 transitions conducted by civilians since 1999, irrespective of the fault lines, we are moving on. People are coming out to choose their leaders. Also, we should also not lose sight of the fact that since 1960, Nigeria has been in the grip of some musketeers, military men. The military actors of 1960, General Babangida, Obasanjo, Danjuma, Gowon, Abacha, General Buhari, they have been the ones that usually dictate the pace of political economy in Nigeria. So for about 60 years. So when General Obasanjo was talking, people should understand. This is the first time we are having a paradigm shift. All the civilians regimes we have had in 1983, they were process of the military. In 1999, in fact, he came back again to rule. Yaradua was a process of the military. President Jonathan was a process of the military. This is the first time we are having real choice of the people, which represent a fundamental shift from where we have been coming from. And I think we should be glad that this kind of thing has taken place. And I also think the election has broken so many myths. You know, people say, oh, an Igbo man can never become the president of Nigeria. Obi has proved that, you know, anybody from any part of the country can emerge as the president of Nigeria. Look at the state that he has won, 11 states. That is remarkable.
Yes.
It's something that we need to learn from. That this conception that, oh, you know, these people, the North will never vote for the South because of ethnicity. It has proven, this is the second time since 1993, that Nigerians are proving that irrespective of ethnic differences, irrespective of religious differences, you know, they share common aspirations. They can vote, you know, irrespective of where they come from, for a candidate that they think best represents their interests. If we look at the outcome of this election, Bola Tinubu had a lot of voters in the North. More voters. Even he lost his own state. But people still voted for him in Kano, in Jigawa, in Borno State. They are not of his own ethnic group. So this idea of saying that Nigeria is factioned along ethnics and all that, it is not true. They are just stereotypes. Nigerians have proved once again that, look, we are one people. We have the aspiration to build a country that is prosperous based on justice, irrespective of your ethnicity and, you know, your religious affiliation. And also, this is also the first time we're having a presidency that has dual religion. In the president, you know, in the past, we've had a civilian regime where the president will be Muslim, the wife will be Muslim. We're having for the first time The president is civilian government. The president is a Christian. I mean, is a Muslim. The wife is a Christian. So it's a combination of our, of our religious different. I think that is also a strength on the soul. And I also think that Peter Obi has also proved one thing, that irrespective of not having the structure,
right,
you can make an impact. You can make an impact. And that even though, you are from a particular region in the country, people can still come out, even though you started the race very few months before the election. So I think the winner of this election, is the Nigerian people, and I think that we should all rally around, There's no way you can have election that will be losers. It's like Olympic Games. But to now say that you have to destroy the baby because, we are not sure of the paternity, now that we are sure of the paternity, I think we should all embrace the baby, come together so that we can move the country forward. We have another 4 years or 8 years maximum for Nigerians to come up again to contest. And also we should also commend Atiku for one thing. He has contested for 5 times now. And if you look at him, I've never read any statement linked to him inciting people to violence.
Yes.
So that is a high level of statesmanship. You don't need to be the president of a country before you are respected by the Nigerians. Awolowo was never the president of Nigeria. But today, he's one of the most respected Nigerians. So you can be involved in nation building without necessarily being the president of this country. So I think we should all come together to ensure that democracy is sustained. Whatever the fault lines, people can go to court to challenge it. But the higher goal is peace. That is it should be, because without peace and stability, you cannot talk of progress and development.
Right. Sam, I'll need you to weigh in on this. Despite all of the challenges that we saw, the cash crunch, recall that Asiwaju had mentioned that there were fifth columnists and all of it, he still emerged.
Well, that is the story of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. And for you to understand it, you have to go a little further back. His desire to become president was being fought in his own party from about 2-3 years ago. First of all, the party wouldn't have board of trustees. The party won't. They removed Oshomole because they felt Oshomole was close to him, and then they fought about who would be the executive so that he would not have power within the party. Then when it came to getting doing the primaries, there were people, they choreographed different ways by which they wanted to make it impossible for him to get the votes. So first of all, they said it would be open primaries. They said, this man, you make it open primaries. It will be difficult to let us make it delegates so that we can get the people who want to vote. Then they did that. It didn't work. It still triumphed. But before then, there's a story people don't know.
Tell us.
And the story is this, that after Atiku Abubakar emerged as
the PDP candidate,
there were some governors in the north who went to meet Buhari and said, I won't tell all the story, but I'll tell you the part that that I should tell at this stage. So they went to meet Buhari and they said, look, we need to get another northerner in order to beat Buhari, Atiku. And Atiku, and there were 5 of them. I won't mention their names. Okay. And they went to meet Buhari, and Buhari said, okay, if you want some people to do this, give me the list. And then they gave the list to Buhari. I told her that it was themselves they put on the list. And Buhari looked at it and said, look at these people. He just tossed it aside. Then one of the other governors who was not told, who was not part of the five, was told about this story. He got angry and he called the others. And he said, we have to hold a meeting. But the meeting did not hold because they couldn't agree on what to happen to the meeting. I'm trying to edit the story. So it got to a point where they had to meet the president to discuss it, okay, because they needed appointment with the president for the president to get to the conclusion of that matter. So the meeting was held. All the governors, the progressive governors in the north came together. And then there was fight among them, accusing each other. You were the one that did this. You were the one that did that. And in the final analysis, they said, well, let us just give this thing to the South. There's no need for us to fight over this thing. Then all of them signed a sheet of paper. Remember when the report came out that the northern governors signed a paper that the presidency must go to the South. So that was how it emerged. When this was happening, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was even not in the picture. That's what the Bible says sometimes, that when your enemies are at work, they'll be working for you. You're not even there. I didn't tell all this part of the story. So that was one part of the story. After that, they went to the primaries. There were some people who were trying to get Buhari to change, to choreograph, pick for somebody to be there. Some people in Aso Rock, though the cabals didn't start today, they're telling the defense chiefs, say, please go and meet Buhari. Is there something supposed to tell you? And the defense chiefs, the SS chief, army chief, IG, no, they said, one of them was being asked to go and tell them, go and meet me. So they came, the IG said, I've already met him. He said we should just go and conduct it free and fair. So all of them went. I went to see Buhari. Buhari was asking, what are you people doing here? He said, we just want to tell you that we are going. So you can't go and conduct the whole thing now. He didn't give them any instruction on who they should favor, who they should not favor. So the matter went on, and the rest, they say, is history. So he's a man who has gone through battles. And he's a battle-tested man. And I can say this is the first time we are going to have a president who is really prepared for the job. We have not had one. We have had people who had ambition for the job, but not necessarily prepared. The one that would have had, who was prepared for the job, Awolowo never got it. Yes. And that's the difference between Asiwaju and Awolowo. Awolowo was a man of integrity, but integrity is not enough.
Absolutely.
For you to get it. How do you become a good man when you don't have opportunity to show how good you are? Because you are trying to be good. You stop yourself from showing good. That was the problem with Awolowo. Awolowo did not know how to build bridges. Awolowo went to Igbo land and he said, I will ban Okporoko and I will, all these second-hand goods. You don't say it. It meant well, but
it didn't sit well
the optics
with the
were
people.
not good. You don't have to see that. It's not everything that is good for you. So it went north. Awolowo went north. He will enter Kano. He will see the emir. He will see people who just hold this little rally and play a lot of grammar about free education and leave. He didn't have connection. He didn't have he didn't build the coalition. Asiwaju understood it more than other people. He understood that you have to engage, and to engage, you don't have to be rigid. You have to understand what is good. Even the Bible says, if you are righteous, don't be over-righteous. It's not good for you. So he knew how to build bridges. Everywhere in the country, somebody has good things to say about it.
Yeah.
Every part of it. So that was it. That was how he was able to surmount crisis. And when he's in the middle of crisis, he's never too excited. You see him, he's always calm. You know that he knows what to do. And he's confident. When he was in the middle camp, people were laughing at him. There has been no candidate in Nigerian history that have been so mocked. They mocked his walk, they mocked his body fluid, they mocked his face, they mocked his speech, they mocked his lofty ideas, they mocked his phrases, they mocked his certificate. They were farragos of lies about him. You see, you don't mock the person that God makes. Because if you mock a person that God makes, you are mocking God. And the Bible says God is not mocked. If you mock a person for the way God made him, you are mocking his maker. You are committing a divine crime. That is what. He had all of this. Never once did he raise a finger to say, I am angry that you are abusing me. He once said, when this campaign started, he said, I'm taking a geometric approach to this campaign. He said, the fastest way between 2 points is a straight line. That's the geometric approach. In other words, you're not going right, you don't get distracted on the right, you don't get distracted on the left. That's what he said. I am taking a geometric approach to this campaign. That the fastest route between 2 points is a straight line.
You mentioned something earlier that he's prepared for the job. How so? I'm sure a lot of Nigerians would like to understand what he means by preparation, he being prepared for the job.
Yes, I believe this aspiration started as far back as 1992. You know, because I was in the media then covering politics. And, you know, at that time, he became a senator. And if you go back to read some of his speeches, you know, he has always been talking, even some of the interviews we had with him, you know, that one day we wish to emerge as president of Nigeria and to put things right, to do things right, to satisfy the rainbow colors, you know, of the diversity in Nigeria, to address the fears and aspirations of Nigerians. And if you also look at this election, I think in spite of the vilification, instead of the attacks, it was he, it was this and all that, going around 36 states, I don't even think at my age I can do that successfully. Meeting people, flying from one place to the other, sleepless nights. You know, the human anatomy, at certain ages, you know, you can't, but he was able to weather the storm. So sometimes I look at this as it's not an easy thing. If you are not prepared for it, I think it will be a very difficult thing to do. And I always look at the template in Lagos State. You know, why being the governor of Lagos State, he did not just restrict his networking to Lagos State. He was able to build network across the country, in the Northwest, in the Northeast, you know, making friendship. It was not a governor that was primordial, that was just concerned about ruling Lagos State and then go to sleep. As governor of Lagos State, you know, if you look at the Southern Governors Forum, you know, the various, even collaborating with other parts of the country, you know, projects that were, you know, rooted in Lagos State, but with collaboration with other parts of the country, and building relationship, building networking and all that, attending a lot of programs, socio-cultural programs and all, even taking titles from conservative enclaves. I think he had a plan, a long-term plan to contest for this election. And I think in terms of programs on the economy, programs on the environment, programs on the national question, I think he had, you know, a good plan, perhaps far ahead of any other contestant in this race. And I think he understands the Nigerian terrain more than any one of them. Like he said, I don't think there's any local government you can visit in Nigeria. Even before this election, in the past 20 years, you will see somebody that will identify himself as his supporter. There's no local government that will visit, because we've monitored elections across the country, and we know, people always mention, of all the former governors who left in 2007, how many of them are still relevant today? But even when he was not contesting the election, as a person, he was always part of the system. In 2007, 2011, 2015, he was always there as the most dominant figure, either in terms of collaboration, in terms of taking look at what the election of 2015. Perhaps it was one of the most outstanding figures that said, look, Buhari must take this slot. And he worked hard for it, he mobilized for it. At the end of the day, it paid off, that there must be power shift. And I think we must commend a lot of northern leaders, for living up to their works. Because if there hadn't been power shift, it was a major, challenge. I think probably it will have tinkered with the unity of Nigeria. So I think for having a power shift to the south is a major achievement, which I think goes, above any other aspiration. At least looking at the fragile nature of Nigeria and the threats to stability and the impact on regional stability in West Africa. So I think this is quite
and it is very significant that we did not have a Fulani handing over to the Fulani. Nobody knows what that could have created in the country in terms of trying to use the words of Asiwaju, mend the broken places of our soul. That's not how I put it, but I use the word broken pieces, But the broken places of our soul, we don't know whether they could have been retrieved if we had that kind of scenario. Asiwaju, I also wanted to say, is a man who anticipates obstacles and is never cowed by them. Just like the ballad of St. Andrew says, I'm struck and wounded. I lay me down and rest a while, but I'll rise and fight again. So he is that kind of spirit. It is a spirit of that kind of overweening confidence. That is the sense that it can be done. Yes. That there is no obstacle, but there is opportunity. That every fall is not actually a descent, but probably a new tap dance. Something like that.
Let me stay with you, Sam. His acceptance speech. Yes. Just talk to us. What were perhaps some of the high points in that speech that you like to highlight?
Nigerians will come to learn Asiwaju's speech making after a while. You discover that he had a prepared speech, but a lot of the highlights of the speech was outside the prepared speech. The humor about the other room, about Atiku Bagudu, that I wanted to take that your first name from you. You're seeing the Asiwaju humor. You are seeing his what they call it, slapstick. They call it slapstick humor. The thing will hit, when you sometimes you use a flat stick, then you hit the person as if nothing happened. Then suddenly you say, that
was painful.
That was painful. It will take a while to settle. That kind of slapstick. And it too has a way of showing a mocking face when it's making the humor. And so you saw that, and you also saw the aspect of the sobriety of the speech, when he said everybody should come together, whether you're obedient, you're articulated, if you are Kwankwasia, whatever you call the other people's name, all of you come together, that there's one country. That's one of the things that is trying to do. That's one of the basic work we do as president, to, as he himself said, bring together our broken pieces. So we need to do that. You could also see that in the speech, he talked about the youth. He said, I
Yes.
hear you.
Loud.
Talk about that, school, 4-year school, before 4-year school. There will be loan, there will be credit, and so on. And that will bring ideas from outside that people should not leave the country, but we have the talent, we have the creative juices to keep the country together and to make it great. It made that point. He also was full of gratitude for the president.
Yes.
You know, they were telling him that the man worked hard for the party and so on. The progressive governors, he said, without them, we wouldn't be here. And the governors came together and they really worked for him. He was the field marshal, but the governors, they were the generals on the field.
Yes.
They were working for him. And it was an extraordinary coalition that it brought everybody on board. And they all worked together.
Yes.
I mean, when he picked Shetima, some of them were like, oh, why did you pick him? Because everybody wanted to be the vice president. It's extraordinary how he brought all of them together without friction. You discover that in the campaign, unlike the PDP where they had all of these problems and so on, they didn't have any crisis within. So they fought as one body, as one. There were speculations, but on the whole, they fought as one body, as one piece, and so on. So it was a very important part of the speech. He thanked the progressive governors, thanked people like Ogala. There was a speech also of gratitude, of thankfulness, and also it's also a speech in which he also expressed his humility. He brought humor there that even if I bow down, it will not express my gratitude enough. If I knelt, it will not express my gratitude enough, and so on. There was also that of it, and he talked about the defeat in Lagos, and he brought the human part of it, saying that it was very clearly that the thing hit him, and that the wife, who is very prayerful, that brings also the aspect of two faiths. He started by saying that by thanking Allah, but then he talked about his wife, whose Christian prayerfulness was also a buffer for him after that, and so on. So that's why. So those are part of the speech. You could see that the speech was a mixture of humor, a mixture of sobriety. There was swagger in the speech. There was optimism. There was sobriety, and it was quite a mix of speech. Sometimes it looked like it was rambling, but that's to be expected for somebody who just won an election, who has a sort of there's a sort of boyish glitter in his face. When you win things. There was actually saw an interview this morning. Interviewed the governor of Lagos, the VOS of Lagos. Sanwo-Olu. He also had a certain boyish chatter when they interviewed him. He just kept going on. And Dakwa Biondu said, I feel like $1 million. You know, that kind of. So that is the kind of thing that happens. I had a phone conversation with Shengo Shoba, who was in this show. This was the first person I spoke with after the thing, and he's over 80, but you would think that it was a 20-year-old guy who was talking on the phone, So there is a sense in the speech of optimism, sobriety, and a sense of the awesome task ahead.
I wonder what you also sense from the speech. He talked about being, he would be a servant.
Yeah.
And not your leader. That stood out for me. I wonder what stood out for you.
Well, I attended a conference in Switzerland, and it was a training conference of the United Nations. So we met people who negotiated, ANC members who negotiated between Mandela, ANC, and the apartheid regime. And they shared their experiences with us, that when they were doing the negotiation, they went to the apartheid regime, who were in power at that time, and they listed all their points. When they list the first point, the white regime said, we agreed. All the points listed, they said, no problem. They now went back to Mandela and said, oh, they bought wine, they were enjoying that. Oh, we have won. The white people have accepted all our points. Mandela said, no, we have lost. Go back to them. Find out their fears. They went back and renegotiated and then had 60%, 40% negotiation. So I think Asiwaju's speech for talking about reconciling with the lesser medal winners, because they are also, medal winners.
Absolutely.
Coming second, coming third.
Silver and gold.
Silver and gold.
Silver, gold,
They are
and bronze.
contestants, they are, commendable. So for saying that he will also work with them, I think that is the height of statesmanship. And I think I just hope they will also take that offer in the interest of Nigeria.
There was one part of the speech that really resonated with him, and it was one of these early things he spoke about conflict resolution, using Zamfara as an example.
Right.
When he said the governor, Matawale, the former governor, Yari, they were split. And there were other people he mentioned, Marafa, and so on. And he talked about the fact that the party was in tatters.
Yeah.
And all of them came together in a spirit of oneness to get things done. So he was trying to talk about the fact that this is the spirit of reconciliation that he is going to bring into governance. That all the broken pieces, also broken pieces is also about broken humanity. That he brings them together and so that they can be one.
Absolutely. Right, we have another guest via Zoom, Kabir Shitu, Secretary General, National Integration Forum. He's in Abuja. He will be speaking with us now. Good morning, Mr. Shitu. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. And congratulations. It was happiest day for us.
Interesting. That's why I am going to. What is the situation with regards to the celebration with this win? What do you make also of the fact that despite the challenges he faced leading up to the elections, he emerged winner?
First of all, we congratulate Nigerians for this peaceful election, and we also congratulate Mr. President-elect and the Vice President-elect. And this is a significant and a happiest moment for democratic process in Nigeria. For the first time, you are seeing a keenly contested election where it has intercrossed the ethnicity, religion have been doused down, where even the winner will not win his own local government, and the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will not even win his own state. That is to tell you democracy is at work. People have now spoken. This is real democracy that Nigerians have got. And this has also integrated Nigeria, because in Abuja, you see that the representatives here are Igbo as a representative and Yoruba as the senator. And then you see in Lagos where the Igbos, the Hausa, the Yorubas are together and they all win election. So, and you find out that this has really integrated Nigeria. And ours is that it is time for Nigerians to agree that we are one and that we are indivisible and that democracy is the way. We all embrace it and welcome it. And it is time also for Nigerians to reflect that we have to stay together. We have to build this country together. And we have seen somebody, a person who has developed a little enclave that he was. That is Lagos. He has integrated Lagos. He has been able to put Lagos in the economic pedestrian of the world. When you are talking of Africa, they tell you Lagos is the 5th or 4th largest economy in Africa and in the world. And also we want Nigeria to be first or second economy in the world in the next 8 years that we'll have him. We have confidence in him. We believe in him. Nigerians believe in him. irrespective. He has cut across both religion and ethnicity, and he has killed that one today. And from the first March, we believe that a new Nigerian is born, a new Nigerian where ethnicity, religion is no more a barrier to leadership. Where we believe that you as a person will take Nigerian out of wood. It's a joyous moment. Both APC, Labour, and all other political parties, I believe we have got across. And we want to urge Nigeria that all of us have this country to salvage. All of us should accept this victory that God has bestowed on us. I believe that nobody, no politician in Nigeria that will say Asiwaju has not cut across. He has cut across. He has friends everywhere. Even when people were afraid, I think 4 years ago, we told Nigerians that the best person to take Nigerian into new Nigerian is President-elect Bola Tinubu. And he has Kashim Shettima, who also cut across. They not even believe that Shettima is also a Lagos city boy. Shettima cut across. If you are talking of the Kanuris, you have the Kanuris coming even into the Yoruba land. When you are talking of Shaki, when you are talking of Kishi, when you are talking of the entire part of northern Oyo State, there are also Kanuris. There are Kanuris around there, which are indigenous of that place. He has cut across. If you get to the north central here, you get to Borgu, there are also Kanuris. So in terms of ethnicity, he also cut across Nigeria. It's in the west, it's in the east, it's in the north. So you see, and you talk of Bola Tinubu, he has cut across Nigeria. Is Jagaban of Borgu land. Is also Asiwaju of the Yoruba land and Asiwaju of Nigeria. And today, he has become Asiwaju of the world, has been described by President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who called him Asiwaju of the global. So we have got two leaders that Nigerians believe in, that Nigerians must work with, that Nigerians will work with, and believe that will take us out of war. The political parties want to urge them. As I was chairman of Interparty Advisory Council, and I've spoken to many of the political parties between yesterday and today, and most of them believe that it is time for us to build this country. And the only result that they should not kill themselves for politicians. Don't go and kill yourself. Don't go out there for violence. Right. Believe me, all of us, the politicians, we are friends. We cut across each other. So I urge Nigerians to accept this as we have accepted, and I believe most of the political parties, if not all, have accepted this result.
Well, you can't really speak for them now. Can you hear me, Kabiru? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm saying that
hearing you.
You can't really speak for some of these parties now because yesterday we saw what went on the letter former President Olusegun Obasanjo wrote, and we have seen pockets of persons who are saying they are not happy with the process and are seeking to find redress in court. But then the president-elect has said that they should come together and team up to move the country forward. How do you see this happening?
Definitely, when you go into contest, what I want to urge political parties is just like a football game. About 20 or 30 players, clubs will go into contest. At the end of the day, you will have that one that will take goal, and everybody will come together. And they will call them after 2, 3, 4 years, and everybody will come again another country will take the cup. That is how our political system should be. We should believe first. If we believe that Nigeria first before ourselves, definitely we believe that we have got.
Can you unmute yourself? All right, let's continue the conversation here. As soon as he unmutes himself, we'll continue with him. I was looking at talking about how, he bringing these other aggrieved persons together, because from the letter former President Olusegun Obasanjo wrote and the stories about some persons going to seek redress in court that we're hearing, I'm wondering how he will be able to bring these people together to work with.
Well, there are 18 political parties, some 18 political parties. I believe the contentious ones are two, the PDP and the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Personally, I believe left for Mr. P2B, I believe that you will realize that his political future lies on how he handles this first experience. If some people are pushing him and say, look, let's scatter the whole thing, I believe at his age, he will realize that he still have better opportunities in future to come back again, and contest in the race. Because as we are talking now, he has earned a lot of respect. Even though he's a winner, but not the first. He didn't break the tape. He's not the first to break the tape. He has earned a lot of respect for even coming out to create a paradigm shift from the two major political parties, even though he was also in PDP. So I think his mindset at this point, his conscience is very important. And I think if he's a conscientious person, and I hope he is, he will realize that, there is a greater goal of, showing respect for the future of the country. There is a great aspiration to know that he still has opportunities in future to play his role as a statesman. There's a greater role to realize that he got support from across the country. And he needs to realize that most of those who gave him that support, they are looking forward to a better future, where there will be food on their table, security problems will be resolved, and there will be no war, there will be no chaos. And I believe such people will be aspiring to a situation where they will tell him that, look, let us look for a way to reconcile with the person who has won this election, and then prepare, for another opportunity. And also to realize that people have won the election after contesting for 4 times. Buhari and many other people. And there is a way faith can also bring your own victory in a way that it may not be now, it may be in the next 8 years of whatever. So I believe that he should not listen to extremists who will be pushing him on, telling him that it's his name that is at stake now, not the names of those fundamentalists, extremists who are not even known, but who are ready to spill the meat. So it is the name of Peter Obi that should matter. And I think glorifying that name, sustaining the dignity as achieved now, it demands a kind of statesmanship from him. And I think that is the way he can sustain the respect, and dignity that he has earned at this level. If he did not manage it well, if you listen to rabble-rousers and extremists, I think at the end of the day, he will suffer the consequences. So I believe that he should realize the need to work together to move the country forward.
The people that have the most task at this time are Shiwaju and Peter Obi, not much of Atiku.
Yeah.
Shiwaju's task is how to manage a success, which is very daunting task, to manage success. In the case of Obi, he will have to show whether he has the grace of a loser. And even more than the grace, the calculation of a loser. because he runs the risk of being demystified. You know, much of what goes on in the obedience movement is not based on clear-cut ideas. It's not based on systematic principles or anything. It's an emotional movement. It's an emotional movement. It's not like a religious movement, which itself has constructs within them. This is a movement that is more of emotional content than ideas. So it is very fragile. It looks very, very beautiful and sweet, but it's very fragile. Like a soap bubble, we can just burst. By one spittle, they say, oh, so this is what he is. Just does one mistake. He has done so many mistakes. He has looked like a Teflon. All the things that have been said about him that were true, touching on ideas, touching on his integrity, touching on his time, his track record. The people who follow him don't care. Yeah. And part of the followership of Obi was not so much because of Obi, because if it was because of Obi, they would have examined him. But they see him as symbol of something else. They just put him there. Say, okay, let this man be our our surrogate. So anything we want, we get. Every good thing that we want, that we are manufacturing, we give it to him. So he becomes a beneficiary. And it's very easy for people to just turn out and say, but all these things we gave you, you didn't do them well. And then they wake up when the scale starts falling from their eyes. So it's a very delicate moment for him. Yeah. You know, how do you control your myth that you didn't create?
Yeah, that's a big one. Right. Let's also look at the task ahead of the president-elect. How he needs to hit the ground running. Yes, he's looking at, bringing the nation together along the fault lines, because a lot of persons have said that the fault lines in recent times have been so visible, more than we have ever known. How will he be able to bring, that fault lines together so that we see ourselves as Nigerians, not where I come from, not my religion. The Project Nigeria should be what we focus on.
I see a huge opportunity that I hope politicians, and I believe, will be able to manage very well. Nigerians have proved that, look, they are ready to work as one country. We are ready to vote for anybody that we think can best meet our needs. The major problems we face in Nigeria are two: economy and insecurity. There's an opportunity we have on our hands now. When we are talking about economy, we are talking of former governor of Lagos State, who has proved that he can transform the economy. We are also talking of Shetima, who was in Borno State and lived the experiences of, insurgency. He had a lot of experience that not many governors, in terms of information, in terms of personal experiences. So if these two main actors can realize the two potentials, economy and security, I think it's a good combination for us to address these two major problems. Because when you are even talking about the national question, it's also because people feel unsecured. We are talking about the uprising in Southeast. We are talking about agitation for Udua Republic. You are talking for agitation for Sharia, for a jihad. It's because of people feel a sense of insecurity. People feel their livelihood is not guaranteed. People don't have hope in the political space. So if we can address the problem of economy and security, and I think the two candidates, Shetima and Bola Tinubu, they are coming from that background, security and economy. So it's another opportunity for us, for them to put their experience on the table and then ensure that they pick the right hands, the right people, irrespective of where they are, whether they are members of APC, whether they are members of Labour Party, the right people that you think can address these major problems. I believe that if there is engagement, constructive engagement, with all the dissent organizations, there are so many dissenting organizations in this country, but if there is honest, sincere, constructive engagement with them, I believe they are human beings. They are no ghosts. You know, even people who the East and oppressed and all that, if you can engage with them and find out their fears and aspirations, I believe we can address them. For me, I think the two candidates have that potential. They have the history, they have the potential, they have the experience, you know, to deal with these problems frontally.
We saw that during this campaign, we saw a lot of bigotry on different levels. A lot of hate, hinting at a period of an era in which ethnic problems became large.
Yeah.
Religious problems became large. Some church pastors, some church bishops took the country as a form of crusade ground. So part of his task is to actually take the fangs out of them by showing that whoever God you worship, whatever worship house you do, does not affect the way you relate to your fellow citizen.
All right, if you could just hold the thought. We need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Sam, you were saying something, all right, before we went on break.
Yes, I was talking about the religious factor, that we have to take the fangs out of some of these people. Some of these forces that voted for Peter Obi came because of religious fear and religious anger, stoked by pastors and bishops who were saying, vote your faith, vote the place your religion. So they were actually using faith to divide the country rather than bring us together. The Bible says, let the wheat and the tares come together until the day of harvest. The Bible does not intend that we turn a political society into the kingdom of God. Even Jesus himself said, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then will my servants fight. These people are fighting for the man who said his kingdom is not here. So you are not even fighting for his kingdom because, as he said, I never sent you. I never knew you. He said, would they not go unless, who will go unless he be sent? That's what the apostle, apostle is a person that is sent. He said, if you don't go, as Apostle Paul said, if nobody sends you, then how do you go on an errand? So they're going on an errand of division. So the best way to make peace is not to even confront them, to create an atmosphere that makes their crusade irrelevant by creating peace among our fellow people.
All right, let's get Kabir Shitu's perspective to this matter of the task ahead of the president-elect.
Thank you.
Yes.
The task The
Go on.
task ahead of Mr. President elect is for him now to swing into action. The first, for us, I've told Nigerians that we are now in a new era. Before today, we told Nigerians that when China find themselves in this type of situation, which we are, you have Mao, who is like President Harry. Now you have Deng, who now concentrate in the development of the economy. And by 2010, China became second largest economy in the world. Today, we have seen Asiwaju that Deng China because he's a workaholic and he knows the economy. And what Nigerians need now is food on their table and to improve the economy of the country and to put Nigeria in the economic pedestrian of the world, where he put Lagos in the economic pedestrian of the world. If Lagos is being touted as one of the fourth largest economy in the world, I believe by the end of his 8 years term, Nigerian will be maybe second, if not first, in the economic map of the world. He has to also now look at integrating the country. How will he do this? The election has already shown the pattern in which he will integrate the country. He knows the country. He has traversed all nooks and crannies of the country even before now. He has friends across the country. So we bring everybody together to salvage the country and build the country that we all care for. Thirdly, he has to now look at the security, which he exhibited in Lagos. Now he has a larger country, Nigeria, for him to look into. We believe that he's capable in handling that. Before he became governor of Lagos, you know what Lagos used to look like, and in terms of security. He has brought security to Lagos. In fact, he has made Lagos to be attractive to investors. So we believe he will also make Nigeria attractive to investors by putting all the security architecture and improve on the security that we have now. We believe that he also has ahead the task of making sure that we bring the world to Nigeria, not Nigerian going to the world, by creating jobs. And for him to create jobs for Nigeria, he has to now look at what do we inherit as people. Other countries use what they have. The Dubai use tourism. China became economic manufacturing hub. And Nigerian can also now look at agriculture and then look at our resources. We have enough resources, both aquatic resources, both agricultural resources, mineral resources. So he has to look at these resources and be able to harness them. We have much belief because he has done this within confine of Lagos. So we believe he will bring that on board. Luckily for us, we also have an able vice president-elect who has exhibited in area of security and agriculture in Borno State. The relative peace, the peace we have today in Borno, started with him. So we believe the joint ticket help this country an egalitarian society where the country will now attract national investor, and then the world will come here, spend for their food, and for their needs, and to be tourist attraction to the world. We believe in him, believe he can do it. And it's a task that he has used all difficult life exhibit to the world. And now this Nigerian as at large, as a larger part of his service, he will do it. We believe in him, and we want Nigerians to also believe in him as they are believe and vote for him. And all we need for us to keep on praying for him so that he will be able to carry out his task, enormous task ahead. And then I also urge him that what made people to be so desperate always is winners take all. He should look at area of the Labour parties, other political parties, wherever I see among them that that can help executing his project, also tap their own knowledge, then use them service the country, Nigerian as a whole. This will integrate the parties, make people believe that if they have something to offer to the country, we have got a president that has done it in Lagos. I believe he will do it here.
All right.
Nigeria.
All right. Kabir Shitu, Secretary General, National Integration Forum, thank you for your time on the program. All right, we continue our conversation here in the studio, and I just want us to take a closer look at how he emerged, the votes, and how the voting pattern and the spread. He polled a total of 8,794,726 votes from 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. That's the two-thirds coming to play now from the Federal Capital Territory. And some persons have said that some of the governors and those governors-elect, those perhaps contesting for governorship in some of the states, were able to deliver for him his votes. Sam?
Yes, that's what I said earlier, that Ashwaju was the field marshal and the governors were the generals. But interestingly, you also discover that he did well even in states where he had no governor, like in Sokoto, where the difference was about 3,000 votes, with PDP. Or if you look at it very well, you discover that he did a lot of work. He did a lot of work with the North generally, from Borno to Kaduna to even the places that were fraught like Jos. He got his numbers. Benue, for instance, I had no governor.
Was it
so it's surprising to so many people.
Right.
But people have been talking about the power of a father. This is a different father from the other ones who were fighting against him. This was fighting for him. So so look, are we saying that there was a conflict of the Holy Spirit?
That's not the case.
No. That's a way of talking. Was there a conflict of the Holy Spirit that some Holy Spirits were working against? The Bible says that there's one faith, one church, and one baptism. So we saw that going on. But earlier, it's a movement on his own. People said the was a movement, but within Benue, it was a movement on his own.
He was able to deliver.
I mean, without being just for declaring himself
as a candidate.
I mean, the story is sometimes told that when Otom is holding a meeting or a rally somewhere, and when he says when he talks PDP, some people say yes, Father. As Senator Akumo said here the other day, he said that some people even want to touch him because they feel that he will get healed. They will get healed. So it's the power of that. So you saw that the spread was much. It was actually a coalition. essentially between the north and the southwest. But then you saw Rivers.
Came into the mix.
So when Wike was saying that we are going to have alliance with people because we want people who love Rivers people, the people who can do good for Rivers people, those are the people we are going to vote for. He didn't even say it. He has now said it.
With the votes. He has said it with the votes.
Said it. Then we also have Cross River.
Yes.
Cross River was amazing. He didn't win it, but it was close.
Yes.
Because the people did not give Ayade the vote, but Ayade delivered the state for him.
Yeah.
You know, got about 130,000 votes. Obi got about 167 or something like that votes, which is very interesting because many people didn't think that was a strong place for him to get anything. Where did he get the places that were very bad, in spite of very good campaigns in Iran, were places like Enugu, where he had 4,777 or something like that. Or Abia, where he got about 6,000 votes. Anambra, the places he got some decent votes by comparison with places like Imo, where 60 something thousand, and Ebonyi, where he had about 40,000, and so on. But it was dreadful. The East was a dreadful place for his campaign, and he spent a lot of time, going to the East, town hall meetings during campaigns. He did a lot of work there. I think that it didn't work. So those are the things that made people see the obedient movement as actually an ethnic movement.
Because of the numbers.
Yeah, because of the numbers. And people say, well, the East voted Obi, the Southwest voted Obi, voted APC, voted PDP. The North voted PDP, Obi, and APC and Kwankwanso. So those are part of the narrative. And North Central. The North Central also voted a lot for Peter Obi.
Yes.
For Peter Obi. So those are part of the narrative going on. They voted a lot for him in Nasarawa, and in Plateau. And even in Benue, they voted a lot for him there. Didn't win them, but he got good numbers.
Absolutely.
And so on.
Yeah.
Although you can say that Asiwaju actually won this North Central because he won Niger, he won Benue, he won Kogi, he won Kwara. Yeah. So you could say that.
Quickly on this matter, the voting pattern.
Yeah, I think it's a strong indication that some of the parties had votes where they were least expected to, even Bayelsa, APC had sizable votes there, and even Labour Party. In Edo, even in Delta, where the VP who is running for Okowa, comes from. So I think the indication is that as far as presidential election is concerned, the pattern may not necessarily be determined by the city governor. And it could also be determined by the city government. Like in Ekiti State. Ekiti State was the first to release its results. You could see that there is a dominant influence of the governor, and also the APC in Ekiti State. Even I understand the governor met with all the stakeholders, preaching for calm, just go and vote. And it was very beautiful, very peaceful, well conducted. And before sundown on a Saturday, Ekiti result was out. So the political leadership in each state, also, there was no violence, in Ekiti State. That was why I monitored the election. Right. So I think, and if you look at Kano, it also shows that, Kwankwanso is a formidable force any day, any time, even though he may not have, won in other parts of the country.
All right. We must thank you, Adewale Adeoye, for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.